The buzz on the spin. Chaz's has no quit in her, and the fall turns into a glide out of a video game, and they land on a walkway some floors below. The Lydris does not follow. "Are you all right?" There's a moment's silence between them as they realize they spoke at the same time. There's a slight chuckle from him, and a few giggles out of her. Their eyes are upwards, so they're somewhat caught off guard as a bright shimmering light indicates the approach of an Angla. It's sheer white, which says quite plainly that she's far from happy as she drifts down to her level. "That wretched idiot. I knew I made a mistake the moment she said something about a second prostitute," the Angla says as she descends next to them. "Alriatha, I told you to bring the administrator to me, not to assault her." "I'm not the station administrator," Chaziz says from her place on Hoagie's back. She has a knife out and is ready to use it. "I am the station administrator, and let me guess, you're one of Sand Sifter's competition, and her little meeting with me will disrupt your own profits and efforts." "Oh, so the rumors are true. We've been on the station for months now. How the hell are me and my fellows still just rumors?" "It's rather hard to believe, not to mention you're a dry lung. You can't breathe in water," the Angla states, and Hoagie sighs. "Chaziz, is your totem restored?" Hoagie asks. "It seems to be, but I'm hanging on. I don't trust this white light witch." Chaziz answers. "Of course you don't. If she wasn't my best fin breaker, I'd have spaced the idiot myself years ago," the Angla says, before looking up at the slowly descending Lydris. "Alriatha, put some damn muscle into it, you idiot, unless you want me to scream at you." The Lydris starts moving fast and is quickly close enough for more details. 9 bodies and none of them looking all that bright. "Alriatha, normally I love the whole let the air sucker wake up scared and confused at my feet routine, but trying it with station administration? Have you been getting into the product again? The depths is the matter with you?" "Well, No. It was rhetorical. I know what's wrong with you. You're an idiot. Go back the warehouse and make sure the girls there aren't tasting the stuff." "But they..." Alriatha begins to protest. "They're not going to do anything. Now go," the Angla says, before shooing off Alriatha. The Lydris pauses. "Go!" The Lydris swims off, and the Angla sighs. Strong fighter and loyal, but dumber than the rocks that this station breaks apart for extra cash. The Angla says, "I'm Ghani, and yes, I'm one of Sand Sifter's competitors. I'd ask you to swim with me, but neither of you are exactly up for it right now, are you?" "No, we're not," Chaziz says with a fierce glare at Ghani. "Fair enough, we can take the long way. Gives us more time to chat," Ghani remarks as her head light color shifts from the white of anger to a contented yellow. "Hopefully we don't need to use it all. I have a very full day with a lot of work to do. My species works double shifts by default, and it's still not enough time half the time," Hoagie says. "All right. It's not like I'm giving away any personal secrets anyways, but I still don't like hanging around too close to Sand Sifter. So we're going to be walking," Ghani says, and she starts to move while gesturing for Hoagie and Chaziz to follow. "You know you're really walking into a feeding frenzy. Most air breathers don't come down here, and a lot of girls who can walk in both worlds prefer it here for privacy. Even if the rules are nice and loose, having them enforced at all is all sorts of annoying. The rules are here to stop the station from being ripped apart by idiots." "Oh, sure, that's completely reasonable. Rare is the person comfortable just staring out into the void, and let's not even touch how few of them are willing to enter it. We need a nice, robust station to do our business on, and my business drums up your business. It's all a perfectly reasonable system," Ghani says as she leads them along a walkway and then towards a stairwell going down to another level. "The only real problem with the way things work is that we're all divided, you know? All the competition puts up everyone's back, and we all just get into goofy tit measuring contests, and hey, the hell are you doing? That shit won't even give her a mild buzz." Apparently, the vague shapes nearby are good and obvious to her sight, and she's none too happy with her light turning white again. Sweet drifts, girl. I pay you to sell product, not discuss my customers. That's the wrong stuff. Get her the proper stuff. Swear to the goddesses, it's like the second some girls get into the criminal life, they just drop their brains right out of their heads. Ghani grumps as she starts to move again. You want to live a happy, carefree life? Never be in charge. Because every little problem is suddenly your problem, and the rewards are hogged up by all the little idiots who gave you the problem to begin with. That had to be staged, Chaziz whispers to Hoagie, who nods. You know you're lucky I want to talk to you. It's rare that a proper glimpse at this part of the station is given. We're a pretty insular lot and generally don't cause problems. Ghani lies as Hoagie follows. He thinks he's got her game now, and it's not a bad one, but it's also one where you can't win at all if the other guy just isn't going to play. She needs him to be a sucker for this to work, and Hoagie may be a lot of things, but a sucker he isn't. No doubt after Ghani has her say with him, the spies from the other competitors are going to descend on him and demand meetings. The only real question is what manipulations, lies, and other assorted techniques the other mob rulers will use to try and influence him, and whether or not their underlings will get into fights with each other in the rush to get to him. Ghani continues to make observations and small talk. More than a few of them are aimed at the fact that Hoagie and Chaziz have an atmospheric bubble around themselves, and therefore can't fully experience the sector as a whole. How they're missing out on the tastes and smells in the water, and how they can't see as well or hear as well, and generally are just not noticing a lot of important details. It's an easy trick, pointing out all the things someone misses and therefore making them rely on your observations or ideas. There are also a large amount of veiled threats as she points out all the places where numerous ambush points or little places where someone can sneak up with ease. It's a badly veiled threat that has Hoagie all but rolling his eyes. Right. Are we at your territory already? I'm sure you're running out of veiled threats and meaningless observations to spew at me, and as I said earlier, my time is limited. Oh? Well, aren't we pushy? But yes, this is a safe enough place to talk. My girls are all around us. More poorly veiled threats. What do you want? Hoagie demands, and her headlight flickers from yellow to white, then flashes through green before going back to yellow. The woman is in good control of her emotions, but as an Angla, they're obvious for everyone to see. She has to be in control. I want to know what Sandsifter told you, Ghani states, and Hoagie crosses his arms. Oh? Do you want to know why or what use that is? Simple. Simple enough for a man even. She's my competition. She's moving against me and I need to know how. Just as you and your competition move against her. Tell me, why should I give a fuck? You're on the station and that's where my loyalty is. As far as I'm concerned, this entire section can boil, and my biggest concern is the mild guilt I'll feel when clearing out the big bowl of fish stew before moving in the next batch of criminal idiots to keep making money on the station for the boss lady. Your little games might be interesting, but I'm not part of them, and if you people try to make me part of them, I won't pick up cards and play. I'll flip the fucking table. I just need to know if she asked you to mess with the supply. She did. Apparently there's a shit ton of overdoses and addictions happening. Something that's happened plenty of times before and always ends up with a lot of bodies, spoiled products, and fools being taken for a ride. Is that what she told you? Well, what would you say if I told you she's lying? I know she's lying. I don't trust her. I don't trust you. He then turns to look to the vague forms in the distance and raises his voice to a shout. Nor any of the other mobs that want to try to pull me into one direction or another. Well, aren't we a bold one? Fine. I want things to stay the way they are. There is no massive overdose issue cropping up, but I am shipping out a lot more stuff. That's where the increased demand is coming from. It's not hurting the station. If anything, it's the opposite. It's helping the station. which means it's in your interest and our good station master's interest to keep it happening. Or in other words, it's in your best interest to keep things the way they are now twice over, Ghani says, getting right up to Hoagie's face and staring him in the eyes. She then smirks and pats him on the shoulder. Good talk, dry boy, good talk. She then starts swimming off and Hoagie sighs. Why do these idiots always think involving another sector and administration into their petty politicking and backstabbing will do anything but make things harder and more confusing? 'Cause they're not as smart as they think? Chaziz offers over Hoagie's shoulder. She's got a big smile on now. It's funny. A lot of girls look down on the berserkers, but we know what to do. Lots of product, keep it safe and keep it reliable. We get everything we want and everyone else is flailing around like they've got a knife through a wing and can't pull it out. That's the problem with the ignorant. One of the things they're ignorant about is their own ignorance, Hoagie says as he checks his communicator and it indicates where the nearest administration elevator is. Unfortunately, it's the first one he's used. He hasn't moved very far in Sector 1 and from the looks of it his best route is pretty much just backtracking. Great. Too stupid to know they're stupid? Chaziz asks as he pockets the device again. Not normally, it's just that people don't practice using their brains enough. It's like using an axiom technique for the first time or trying to work out a muscle you rarely use. You will screw up and maybe even hurt yourself trying, Hoagie says as he starts the trek back. It doesn't take very long for them both to hear a bit of a scuffle under the walkway and Hoagie kneels down to take a look. An AKA and a Hydro Nagasha are having a fight but trying not to be heard. They freeze and look up when they see him watching. Let me guess, you're from one gang and she's from another and both want to talk to my husband here, right? Chazes asks. Most mighty lady. The AKA with clear shark details begins. Shut up about your oversized whale of a boss. I need to deliver a message. The Hydro Nagasha protests and Hoagie groans in disgust as they start fighting again. Today's just getting longer and longer. I need to get started now, he says as he steps away from the edge and into the middle of the walkway. He pulls out his communicator and connects it to Central Administration. He then starts speaking in English. Hey, who am I working with this shift? Yo, a familiar voice says. Hey, big guy, how's the rugrat you adopted? Hoagie asks with a grin. He hadn't been on the same shift as this guy for a while. She's doing well, but this isn't about Kathy, is it? Frayed not demon. I need your contract skimming skills and eye for details. There's a clusterfuck of situation with drug dealers in Sector 1 and they want to influence Sector 4 to sell more or less product. But I need a clearer picture. Some have claimed high addiction rates and casualties, others that the product is leaving the station. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more lies to come. So if you could get me a highlight reel of what the fuck is going on under the sea here, I'd be appreciative. Sure thing, the only thing on my list today is a scan of the station and that's automatic. This'll kill some time beautifully, Demon states and Hoagie nods. Perfect. Now, it seems I'm about to be confronted talk to you again soon, Hoagie says as he hears the fight end, and he hangs up the communicator and pockets it just in time for a slightly singed-looking AKA to swim up. Lady Kelpstrand needs to see you, the AKA states, and he nods. Fine, lead the way, he responds.